What to do when you can't journal. You may have been trying to start a journaling routine or build a journaling habit and it's just not working. So in this video, let's talk about what could be going wrong and what you can do about that so that you can get into the habit of journaling, because it is such a life-changing practice. There are two options as to why you may be finding this difficult, because I myself have fallen into these things and this is what I've noticed. There is being like, you're generally content and happy, but you're curious because you're like, why am I not sticking to this habit that I've made? And then the other possibility is that you're feeling very frustrated or annoyed with yourself because you're like, why aren't I sticking to this habit? And it's something that you're trying to do but you can't. Let's address the first scenario. You're generally happy and content, but you're trying to make this habit of journaling every day or however often that you've decided you want to do this, and it's just not working. So for this first thing, you're just being curious, like, why everything else is working, but like, why am I not being able to do this? Could it be that you've been trying to build a habit in the evening of journaling and it might be better in the morning to do that for you? Maybe that's when you feel more peaceful or you have more time, or vice versa. Or maybe you're just like busy doing other things while you would love to journal and you hear other people talking about it, or you know it's been helpful for you in the past. You're really busy doing other things. It's one thing to be like, I want to do this, but like, can you make time for it? Really assess sort of where you're at emotionally and what you would be wanting to gain from journaling. And that brings us to the second thing, where you're like feeling quite frustrated and annoyed about this and feeling quite unhappy in general. The thing I find with this, because I too have ebb and flowed with how often I journal or what I even write about, and we're gonna get into how you can change things if you're feeling a bit stagnant. But like, what I've found is sometimes I will fall out of journaling. It will be because for the first option, I'm just busy. Other things are happening. I'm not needing the time to reflect so much. Maybe instead of writing those things down, I'm actually able to talk about the things that I would usually write about with the people around me. So I don't feel the need at the end of the day to journal about it, because I'm like, well, I had this conversation with this person, we talked about this. I'm not needing that space, that safe space to process emotions. But sometimes the other way, I can just fall out of the habit of journaling. And it's not just that. It will be suddenly I'm not doing my habit tracker. I'm finding it more difficult to have a shower. I'm not really getting dressed in like nice clothes and dressing up in the way that I usually like to. And so then me not journaling is not just because I'm too busy or I'm processing my emotions in other ways. It's because I am feeling low. That will require like more work. But it also means that if that is the case, you can be more compassionate to yourself and be like, hang on, yes, I want to build this habit, but like there's a lot of stuff that I'm dealing with. And so I'm finding it hard to even, brush my teeth twice a day, let alone try and make a new habit or stick to this new routine that I've made for myself. So I think having compassion for yourself, whatever the situation is in terms of you're trying to make this habit, it's not working. Having compassion and being kind to yourself is really important, just to like understand why can't you journal at the moment? Why are you trying to make this habit and it's not working? And we're going to go into the practical ways in a minute. But if we start with that compassion, and I know sometimes we can think, or at least I can think, if I have that compassion for myself, I'm just sort of letting it slide and I'm being like, oh, well, that's fine. Like, we don't have to do that. But in reality, it's just like either life is happening or I'm feeling really bad. I can just let that be. I don't have to shame myself or feel bad that I can't stick to this new routine. If you are in the camp of otherwise generally content, but just can't like get into the habit of journaling, I want to like highlight the benefits of daily journaling. Being reminded of the benefits of it might make you think, oh yeah, this is why I would like to get into the habit of asking myself these reflective questions. I like it because it lets you reflect on the day as a whole. I can get quite swept up in my emotions, and so if something terrible happens or something annoying happens, an episode where I get really angry about something, have like a disagreement with someone, that one angry or sad, disappointing episode in the day, that can very quickly become the thing that I focus on, and I forget all of the good things that happened in the day before then, and I'm just like, oh, this day, it's so awful. That sad thing is taking up so much space. So journaling every day, if I say at the end of the day, I'm going to write about the day and I have some questions that I ask myself, it allows me to remember not only that bad thing, write it down, try and process it and give it space, but it allows me to remember that earlier on in the day, I was actually having a great day before this thing happened that made me sad or angry or annoyed. It was actually a lovely day. Hopefully, if you do this, you will notice that it reminds you as well that any of those bad episodes or any time you feel like discouraged or let down, that doesn't have to define your whole day. There's a really nice saying about you can restart your day at any time. So if you're having a bad day, or if you've not even got out of bed yet and you're feeling really terrible, you're just overwhelmed, It doesn't matter if you start your day at 5 p.m, right? If you decide, no, I'm going to get up now and I'm going to brush my teeth and eat something, or I'm going to have a shower, or I'm going to go outside and read my book, or just I'm going to go sit outside and maybe listen to a podcast. It doesn't matter if it's like even 7 p.m, you still got up and you tried to tackle the day. You can give yourself a fresh start at any time. I think we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So again, I'm saying be kind to yourself, because I know the kind of person who might be annoyed about like not being able to do this or not being able to stick to a habit or whatever. It's very easy to be really harsh on ourselves and be like, oh, I'm so pathetic, or I can't do it. Like, I don't need to give examples. You will have plenty to pull from your own inner monologue. But that voice in our head is not nice. If you start writing every day and journaling every day, you will see, just because I had a bad morning, or just because I had a bad day, even up to like 5 p.m, say your day was going badly, maybe then you decided to do something, or you had a conversation with someone that really took you off guard and you were like, oh, that really cheered me up. I didn't realize how sad I was feeling. But looking back on it, journaling about it, you're like, oh, I turned that day around. Like, I can do something. I'm not like defined by the way that I'm feeling in that moment, because my feelings can like be so overwhelming, and it can be really easy to let those define the day. Like, if I wake up in a bad mood, I wake up early because there's loads of traffic, or like someone's dog is barking, and it's just like, really? Like, this has woken me up. Really? This is how I start my day? Journaling has taught me the good and bad can coexist. Like, you can have a really terrible moment happen on what is otherwise a really good day, and equally you might be having a terrible day, but through writing about that day and reflecting on it and journaling in the evening, you'll look back and be like, yeah, overall this was an awful day, but I looked out the window and the sun looked really pretty through the trees, or my friend sent me a funny meme. It can be so small. Through journaling, you can start to have an appreciation of the little things and pick out little moments, whether it's someone sending you a meme, having a nice cup of tea, the way the clouds look when you're walking home from work. That one small thing can bring you some comfort or some joy, and I'm all about the little things. I have so many videos about that on my channel. But let's say you don't want to journal every day. You're just looking to like get some of those self-reflective benefits and of like appreciating little things, of cultivating more gratitude, but you're like, I don't want to do this every day. Doing something like a weekly review is a really good idea, where you reflect on the week. There are plenty of prompts on this you can find online. I've also done a whole video about weekly reviews, or even you could buy yourself a structured journal which has weekly reviews in it, where you just fill out answering the questions, highlights of this week, challenges this week, what's a lesson that you learned this week, something that you did this week that you didn't think you could do, who did you spend time with this week. Like, you can really document your life in whatever way you want. You can make it really creative and add like pictures or drawings. You could print off like pictures of all the outfits that you wore that week, or you can just keep it very much about the text and just writing. Be aware that there's no like one way to do any of this. You could turn it around this way and do drawings, or, you know, like do a table and fill in the table of your feelings. It doesn't have to be like, I will put the page like this and I will write line after line. In terms of trying to form this habit, something that I've done, like since I was a child, I've kept a journal, but it was more like just a traditional diary. Like, I would write, we went for fish and chips today, we went to Rehoboth Beach, you know, I'm with my cousins, we're on holiday, and it would be that kind of diary. Now I'm more like emotions, reactions, how am I feeling today, what am I grateful for, reflective, as opposed to just writing about experiences. But that can also be something that you could do instead. If you have like that kind of journal, then you're not going to feel like a pressure to write every day, because you're just like dipping into it whenever you feel. And to be honest, I still do this now. I have this book which I write in, this is the book that I write in every day and fill out every day. But I have this other journal which I've had going since 2020, I think. So there's lots of interesting stuff in here, as you can imagine. Yeah, May 2020 is when I started this, and I am, to be fair, like at the end of it. You see, I'm like right at the end. But this is like, just pick it up whenever. So sometimes there are gaps of like a few days, and other times there are gaps of like months where I'm not writing anything. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. I'm still getting something from it, because I'm writing in that and it's full of like angst or worry, or it's full of like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with this music at the moment. That book is full of really intense emotions, whereas this one also full of intense emotions, but it's at least a bit more structured. So there's no like one way to do this, is what I would say. But if you want to pick between one or the other, there are benefits to both. But at least with this one, where you're doing just writing whenever, you're still going to get the benefit of having like an emotional outlet where you can just write about whatever you want, but also you're getting the benefit of there's no pressure. Oh my gosh, I missed a day. You know, I was supposed to write in this every day and I've missed a day. It's like, no, I just pick this up whenever. It doesn't matter if even months go by. Obviously, there's more benefit if I'm writing more often, but if I have nothing to say, or if all I'm saying can be in this one, that's fine. For the 2 different types, if you're doing like this, like all over the place freeform one, I do find it helpful to have this as a blank notebook with no lines. So you can write at whatever size, you can do drawings, you can do like bubble text and write like, I am annoyed. It can be a bit more creative in that sense. Whereas this one where I write every day, I like to have lines in this. But again, this is something for you to experiment with and just see what suits you best, and whatever you have already is good. You don't need to like go out and buy anything new. And you can also write digitally is another option. But aside from the different types, if you're struggling to keep a journaling habit, you could try journaling in the morning instead of the evening, or vice versa. You could try some new prompts. So I, for a long time in this journal, would be answering like 4 or 5 prompts every day, the same ones. And to be honest, that suited me for like years. But it's only recently where I've been noticing I've not been journaling so frequently. I'm like, why is that? Been asking myself and thinking about the things that we've been talking about so far. And I've realized like, okay, maybe I'm a bit bored of answering the same questions. This month, instead of answering my monthly review questions, I did something like this instead of just like blocks of text. Or what I'm doing now for daily journaling, I've started doing this where I draw like a little window, like how you would have on a computer, and I put what I'm grateful for, because that is like a key thing. I think that's foundational for me in terms of the benefits I found from journaling. What am I grateful for? And then I like to put positive steps. So like any good things I did that day, like any encouraging things to be like, if I had a bad day, or if I'm thinking like, what did you do today? To combat the negative voice in my head, I can be like, look at all these positive steps I took. I had lots of water today, or I did some stretching. You know, it can be like really, really basic things, but those things still deserve to be celebrated. So you could try switching things up, changing the prompts. I would always say to include some kind of gratitude, because that will make such a difference. So I am still doing the gratitude list like I normally have, but I'm just structuring it differently, trying some new prompts. There are plenty online. I have done some videos about this, so I will link my journaling playlist. Going by, there are literally so many questions. You can make them up. I sometimes like to do this, just sit down for 10 minutes and just write loads of questions. They can be really vague, like, how was my day today? Or they can be really specific, like, how did I feel after work finished? And you answer that as soon as work's done. And you talk a lot about your work day and how that went, right? Like, it can be very specific or very vague. You can make them up, and so they can be specific to you as well. So like for me, I sometimes like to talk about recovery, because I'm in recovery from addiction, so sometimes it's nice to have an outlet for that. But also the gratitude overlaps a lot with that and is a really big part. You could also try free writing. I prefer to do this on a laptop, because then you can type really quickly. It's basically like a brain dump of, you just get everything, put it onto a blank Word document, and the idea is to not even think about what you're writing, just like let all of the experiences, all of the thoughts, all of the emotions, any like weird resentments you don't even realize you're holding on to, all of this stuff will come out. Put on like a 10-minute timer on your phone, and then just like go and start writing. And the idea is to like be constantly writing, so even if you come to a point where you're like, I don't know what to say next, I don't know what to type next, then you just type repeatedly like, I don't know what to write, or I don't know what I feel, until another thought comes into your head, and then you keep going. And that's also if you're like wondering how to start doing this as well. Like, you put the timer on, you're sat in front of your screen, okay, now what? Start writing by just saying like, I don't know what to write here, or I'm worried about doing this free writing, or I don't know what I'm doing, and then you'll suddenly be like, maybe this will help, maybe this will not, and then just like follow your thoughts and write all of those things out, and then all of this other stuff will start coming out. And it's like a practice, but that is really helpful. So that's if you're struggling with what to write about. This can give you some pointers, because once you've written all of this stuff, you can then look back on it and be like, oh, I didn't know that I was still worried about this thing, or I didn't know I was still annoyed about that person. There's like more work to be done there. I need to like address this. And I can do that through creating some journal prompts specifically to do with this situation. I would also say, if you're trying all of these things that we've talked about so far and it's not clicking, that's completely fine as well. But then I would say you can still get like the benefits of this self-reflection that we've talked about, and of gaining this appreciation for the little things. You can still get those benefits through having some kind of meditation app or even just like a meditation practice where instead of writing all of this stuff, instead of like writing down your gratitude list, you can then set time aside at the end of the day or at lunch or in the morning and just go through a gratitude list in your head. You can pray about it. I would really recommend the Lectio 365 app. They have both a meditation that you can listen to in the morning and one in the evening. I really like the evening one because there's always this space. The prompt is, I think, where was God speaking to me today? I've not used it for a while because I prefer writing, but every so often I'll be like, okay, I'll listen to this instead. But that question always brings up like the littlest moment in the day. They'll ask this question, this thing for you to reflect on, and then there's like ambient noise and silence, so they stop speaking and then you get to think and reflect, and it's only like 8 minutes long in total, but that question always brings up something small. So it will be like, how did God speak to me today? I will be thinking then of like a moment where a bird flew over and like landed on the wall next to me. Just such a small moment that I otherwise it would have just passed me by, but because I'm reflecting on the day, that sticks out and I'm able to appreciate that. So if you don't want to journal at the end of the day, or if you've tried all these different things we've gone through and you're like, maybe this isn't for me, there's still ways to get like the same benefits of self-reflection. You don't have to like buy the 5-minute journal if that's not what works for you or what you find helpful. Any kind of meditation, because that's mainly what you're getting from this, or at least for me, it's like this space to process everything and to be reflective and to notice the little things. And to be like, oh yeah, I don't need to get swept up in all my bad feelings. I can have more perspective on it and also be like, yeah, this bad thing happened, but actually, fundamentally, I'm just really grateful to be where I'm at. I'm really grateful I saw my friend. I'm really grateful for sobriety, you know? I also want to mention scripting quickly because that's another thing I do. I do this in this notebook. And generally, I'll do like scripting and affirmations in here. So this is quite good. It's got quite thin pages, similar to free writing. With affirmations, I just write like, I am grateful, or I am capable, I am blessed. Like I just write affirmations, or I do scripting from like a perspective of my future self. If you're scripting to get your dream job, you would write it as if you already have that job. So you'd be like, today just started my dream job at X company or doing X role. All of my colleagues are really lovely. The place I'm working with is great. The work is interesting. And like you go from there and like describe in detail what it would be like if you were actually at the place, and you write it in the present tense as if it's already happening. People talk about it as like a manifestation practice. I think it's just in and of itself a great exercise to remind you that the things that you want to achieve, like that dream job that you want to get, or if you want like a particular house, or you're looking to get like a dog, you want to like make new friends, like whatever it is, it reminds you through writing about it that that is possible. When I have my dream job, this is what it would be like. It's not an escapism thing. It's like a helpful thing to try and project you past your current circumstances and like the way you feel now, and kind of get you outside of that. It's a really helpful activity. That is something else you could try if you're trying to journal and anything you've tried so far is just not interesting, or you're like, I don't want to do this, or I'm not able to stick to a routine. This again, I don't have a routine with. I just pick it up as and when. So I've probably not written in here for like a month, but I went through a time where I was writing in it every day. That's okay. So I hope this video has given you some ideas as to how to build your own journaling routine, different things you can try if you've been trying things already. The idea was to address each of those things and give you like different options if you've been trying something, or explain why it's not working. Journaling will give you a lot of benefits. I highly recommend. I will leave my journaling playlist on the screen along with one of my journaling videos if you want to hear more about this topic, because I love it very much. I hope that this video has helped you and that you're able to start journaling and really see the benefits, because there are so many. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and I will see you in the next one.